Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of the Paden Perspective. This is Season 2, Episode 7. Today's subject, one that, well, at least I think is very important. And that's on the subject, are you prepared for death? And death is a subject that is difficult for many of us to speak on because death is death. It's a very hard subject to speak on. But it's a subject that unfortunately you can't escape speaking on because death happens to everyone. And now, on the subject of are you prepared for death, this is not based on religion. I am a 33 plus year Baptist deacon. As a matter of fact, this is approaching my 35th year. So 34 years I have been an ordained deacon with Unity Freedom Baptist Church, Newark, New Jersey. As such, I've been a part of and helped officiate many funerals. One thing that comes along with death in the real world, in the secular world, in the earth realm, is cost associated with death. A funeral costs money. The undertaker does certain things, supplies cars, supplies personnel, takes the body back and forth, refrigerates the body, embalms the body, all those very gruesome things, but that's a job. And thank God for the men and women of that industry that do a very great job, in doing that, because I couldn't do it. But it costs money. And because it costs money, that means that at death, money has to be available for that funeral. I don't know of any, and you inform me if you know of any funerals, parlors, morticians that do it for nothing. So having said that, this will not be on are you prepared for death as far as the godly world. There are certainly enough reverend preachers, deacons, and others that can help you prepare, and you should be prepared. Do not let me minimize that at all. But this is based on my background as a former insurance salesman. I sold insurance for one of the premier black insurance companies, North Carolina Mutual. Wikipedia North Carolina Mutual. It was back in the day when our white brothers and sisters wouldn't insure black lives. North Carolina Mutual was one of, and still may be, one of the major insurers of people of color, particularly black people. In working for North Carolina Mutual, I discovered something that many people in the population that I dealt with were mostly of color people living in the urban areas. That's just their market. And it's no, it's not that we didn't take insurance from others, but again, we wanted to be sure that population had insurance. They used to sell what was called penny insurance, and it was insurance that our grandparents literally paid pennies for to make sure that their loved ones, again, Wikipedia, North Carolina Mutual, you should know that. Black history, they are black history. But getting back on the subject of insurance is that in training for that, I learned a term, and you should know this term, intestate, I-N-T-E-S-T-A-T-E. Intestate simply means that when a person dies, there is no will or specific written, written instructions on who their belongings will go to. When a person dies intestate, that means that the state can come in and divide their belongings any way that they want to. Now, I know a lot of you may say, I don't have it, but you have stuff. I've seen at death where families fight over televisions, air conditioners, clothes, and if there is no reconciliation or agreement, the state may have to come in and say, okay, this TV goes to Harry, this TV goes to Mary, this TV goes to Sally. That's embarrassing. I wouldn't want that. So my talk today is about that. First of all, you should have an insurance policy for each member of your house. Each member, not just older members, younger members. Let's face it, kids die. So you should have insurance policies. Now, how much insurance should you have? You should have enough insurance to cover the death as far as a funeral. Many churches charge you to conduct the funeral. Why would a church? They have to put on their lights. They have to pay the musicians. They have to, clean the church. So when people say things about churches, they don't understand. I'm inside the church. We pay all bills just like everyone else pays. So you have to pay the church. You have to pay the funeral parlor. You may have to pay other people associated with it, flowers and different things that may be associated with that funeral. So those are expenses. And I would say that if you have less than $8,000, you're going to run into financial problems. Now, you can have less expensive funerals for things like cremation and, not having it at a church, having it at the funeral parlor. Those are things you should discuss with your local mortician, your local funeral parlor. I don't want to get into it. That's not my expertise. But be assured, you have to have money. There is no funeral home that I know that buries people for free just because that's an industry. That's how they earn their living. So in having insurance, I'm not going to tell you what company to go to. There are hundreds of thousands of insurance companies. Do your due diligence and go out there and find it. And do it while you're in good health, because insurance is based on how long you're going to live. I am insuring. I'm saying I will pay you at death this amount. So if you're sick, you're going to pay more for insurance. So the best time to get insurance is when you're young and when you're in good health. So insure all your kids, insure yourself, insure your mother, insure your father. Now, this costs money. So again, do your due diligence. There are things like term. Term insurance is for a certain term. And there is whole insurance. Again, do your homework. Can't get into that now. It's a whole long subject. But in getting this insurance, one of the saddest things is at death, when the family knows nothing about the insurance that you have, where the policies are, or any of that information, because insurance companies do not call you and say, oh, I heard your loved one died. No, that's not their job. They have no benefit in doing that. You have to call them and say, my loved one died. Their policy number is XXXX. That's the only way the insurance company gets involved. There are many people that die and their insurance sits in some closet, in some box, in some Bible, and no one knows about it. And guess what? It's wasted money that has been spent, and then you have to spend money out of pocket. That's ridiculous. Here's what I'm talking about that I did, because again, I haven't went through insurance classes. I learned a lot. This says Harry Paden's insurance and important originals. This is what I have, and it relates to my insurance. Important papers. I have my birth certificate. I made sure that no information is available because you don't need to know any of my policies. But my passport, my birth certificate, my insurance policies are all in here. And again, I can't let you see much of that, but here is my insurance policies. And that stuff is notarized because that makes it official. This is my signature at the bottom and a notary signature right along with it. Now, again, I had to be careful because I don't want people seeing my stuff. You know, there's crazy people out there that try crazy stuff, and I'm too intelligent to allow that. So what you saw was a blank document. And that blank document says, hopefully you can see it, last will and testament. That last will and testament contains information. My name, your name, who your beneficiaries are, who do you leave information to. This is an official document. Each person should have one. You can go online and get documents like this, forms like this. I have them. Now, except for family, I charge for this information because, you know, life is not free. Can't give you stuff. But this is vital information. Your last will and testament. This is another page. A living will declaration. And this living will declaration tells what should happen in case you get put on a tube, in case the doctors say there's no chance on you coming back. Vital information. You have to fill this out, what your wishes are. I discussed that information with my beneficiary, who happens to be one of my daughters. And I told her specifically what I wanted. If this happens, here's what you do. If this happens, here's what you do. Because these are my wishes, and she should know them. And in discussing it with her, at one time I used to say, not worry, say that's what I want. She knows what I want. But I heard a discussion about that, and about pulling the plug and things like that. And I heard a discussion, and the people were saying that because you give this instructions to your loved ones, they feel duty bound. They said, but be sure and give them the option to make a decision that might not be your decision, but might be the decision that they make at that moment. Because it's unfair to them to put pressure on them. Here's what I'm talking about. You may say, if I'm a vegetable, technically a vegetable, unable to do anything for myself, living by a machine, pull the plug. That may be good. That's what you want. And your loved ones will want to do that. But your loved one may at that moment have a feeling. Say, no, I'm not going to pull it. I'm going to give it a week. I'm going to give it a day. I'm going to give it 24 hours. Give them the option to say, you ultimately make the final decision. Even though you tell them what you want, give them the option to make the final decision because that's your loved one. And if you're making them their beneficiary, you trust them to make such life-changing decisions. Don't want to stay on this too long. This is a seminar type information. I can give a seminar on it. Sometimes people undervalue people in their community. I have so much knowledge. That's why HPINC. I'm a corporation. I have information. I'm not bragging. I'm telling the truth. This is vital information. Too many people die and they're not able to bury their loved ones. That's not cool. So have that information in a book. Throughout this book, again, there are pages in this book. You can see all the pages. It lists all my insurance information, top to bottom. I have this. This sits prominently in my house. But guess what? I made a copy of everything in this book and I gave it to my beneficiary, and I gave it to my pastor. Two people that I trust explicitly because they need this information. What if my beneficiary is so distraught they can't do anything, even though this information is here? Then I'm going to depend on my pastor to execute what needs to be executed. So be sure and have that information. Very simple. Your name, insurance, and important papers, and put it in something like a notebook. Put it in a place. Let a loved one, let more than one loved one, because for whatever reason, what if you and that loved one are not die at the same time? So let someone that you trust know of this information. That's very important. And along with the will and living will, there's another living will, and this is even more specific. It breaks down the life-altering things. And I do not wish my life to be prolonged by medical treatment. If my quality of life is unacceptable to me, the following are conditions that are unacceptable. And you can delineate what you want. You can also put, I want to live as long as possible, regardless of the quality of it. This is a document. I advise getting it notarized because it makes it more official. This instruction directive is more specific than that. I have one filled out for myself, of course, for purposes of this broadcast is blank because my information is private information. And on the back, it gives a power of attorney for health care. Someone that can talk to the doctor and say, doctor, I have a power of attorney. Here's what I want you to do for my doctor. This is a power of attorney. Doctor, this is official. You have to do it as long as it doesn't violate a Hippocratic doctor's type code. These are important documents. Again, I'm available to do workshops to various people. Unless you're family, I probably will charge you. Again, I've learned in life that you can't just give information away for free. My time is valuable, and you wouldn't expect me to do that. Another important thing, I'm trying to get this stuff off the table. This is an amateur organization here, so you have to bear with me. I also have a book that I made, and this book, now, when you die, your monthly bills are still going to be available. Your mortgage, your rent, your gas and electric, your cable. They don't stop that until you say, that person has died. I no longer need cable service at this address. I no longer need gas and lights at this address. Your mortgage, even if you die, your mortgage still becomes available. I have delineated, I have to open this very selectively, but this, so you can't see, but it lists my specific bills. I'll read them to you because, again, I don't want any of you hackers out there seeing any particular information. But it breaks down each of my monthly bills, what I paid, when I paid it. It goes all the way back to 2019. That's 3 years. Generally, it's a 3-year period that you want to keep records for. That's just something that they've established. And it tells each of my bills, I give when I paid those bills, and also how I paid it. Most of my bills, most of us pay our bills online. I'm very lazy that way. I like to do things easy. I don't write checks anymore. Now most things have websites and you pay it. And because of that, I have confirmation numbers. Very important because that confirmed that I made the payment. That's a receipt. Back in the day, I had receipts all over the place and they got hectic. But this, my cable provider, the date I paid it, the confirmation number, the amount, my cable, my insurance, public service, my car payment, my auto insurance, my renter's insurance, other bills. It's all delineated in this book. Again, this is just me. I'm very linear that way. I write things down. I don't like to see things on the computer. I like to write it down. I like hard copies. Make a list of your monthly bills. Keep it. Let your beneficiary know. Because guess what? They need to know how much is owed. They need to know if you owe any money to public service. Public service might say you owe $4,000. And if you can't prove, nope, wait a minute. That bill was paid. Here's the confirmation number. These are very practical things that we don't think about. As I said, death. I sat down, it's not funny, but I sat down with my beneficiary and my grands, her children, and I was talking to them about death. And unfortunately, death elicits emotions. So by the end, everybody's crying because I'm talking about dying. They're like, I don't want to talk about it. But you have to talk about death. Death is a difficult subject to discuss, but because of Adam and Eve, you have to know that biblically, we have death. God intended for us to live forever and ever and ever. Adam and Eve messed that up. You don't know that. Well, most of you, even secular people, know that. But again, I'm a Baptist deacon. I do teach Sunday school. I know something. I know a few things. But I was joking with my Sunday school when God came to Adam and said, Adam, what did you do? Adam, like most of us, he said, God, that woman you sent me. So we can blame it on Adam and Eve, but we're going to die. I try to keep these things not too long because I know people get bored and, unless I'm cutting guts out and zombie and stuff, and I ain't going to do that. But here's another bit of information. You got to bring out the old laptop. You need to go and establish, especially those who are working, and that's 99% of the people out there have some sort of job. You need to go to the Social Security Administration's website and make yourself an account. Not just people who are about to retire, but also people who are working, young people, old people, middle-aged people, and you might could see it. That's the website. It's www.ssa.gov. Go to that website, and they have a ton of information about Social Security. That's the money that you get paid when you retire. If you don't know about Social Security, look on your check because they take out a exuberant amount of money from your check each pay. And you wonder why, and it gets on your nerve. But thank goodness for that because I'm on Social Security now, and believe me, it's a godsend. I'm not working for others. I have my own company, thank God for that, and it's very beneficial, thank God for that, because I have incorporated myself and I now get paid for what I used to give away for free. Paden, can you tell me how I can get insurance? Oh yeah, I get on the phone and I start saying, sometimes people even say thank you. So now I charge you, Family members, most of the time I don't charge. But Social Security, you can create an account. You can find out how much, they will give you an estimate on how much you'll get when you retire based on information. You have to input the information. They also will tell you how much money you've made from Social Security for each of the years that you paid money. When I retired and I sat before the lady and she was telling me different information, she said, Mr. Paden, back in 19 such and such, you worked for such and such company. I'm like, I sure did. I forgot I worked there because I had zillions of jobs. And you may say, that sounds about right. So Social Security has an accurate amount. You, as a participant in Social Security, you have, I think it's up to 5 years, don't quote me on that, but there's a limited amount of time. In other words, if Social Security says that you made $42,000 for that year, but instead you made $92,000, if you don't correct it, then that $42,000, which may be erroneous, will be the amount that you get paid. So go to www.ssa.gov, make an account, and there's tons of information. When I retired, this is when I really went to it. But now I tell people, don't wait till you retire. You can find this information out right now. Go and establish it. Very easy. You can do that. There also are instructions probably online on how to do it. This particular one has Susie Orman. I know some people know Susie Orman. There's also another one. Many people, teachers and all. This is the website to the New Jersey, I live in New Jersey, pension. And there's also information there about your pension. Many of you get money that you pay into a pension, and your job may also put money in there. Thank goodness, because my Social Security and my pension, I could live off for the rest of my life. I can live anywhere in the world. I can move to Russia and they'll still pay me. I could live on the government island, and as long as I got a computer, because again, I don't do checks, it all comes to me via an account. I don't have to ever leave the house again. I retired well. Bragging, yes, because I worked hard. So Social Security, the money I paid into it, the pension, 2 separate checks that can come to you when you retire. If you have a spouse, you get their money. When they die, if they list you as a beneficiary, their money comes to you. Your children, up until the age of, I think it's 18, the same thing. They can get your money. If your child is 9 years old and you list them, they can get your money when you die, up until the age of 18. Important information, death. Are you prepared for it? Very important subject. Back in the day, our parents, grandparents, boy, you don't need to know that information. And then when they died, you were searching for policies. Had to scrape together, anybody. I'm not making light of it, but it's a shame. It's sad. You know, trying to get money to bury your loved ones. I told my loved ones, don't put me in no horse carriage and stuff like that. Put me in a box and burn me, because I don't want to go. I'm claustrophobic. I don't know what. I know what the Bible says. The spirit will leave, but I don't know what's going to go on. I don't want to be in no box. I don't want to be around no worms. I don't want to be around no bugs. Burn me. It may hurt. I'm dead, so it probably won't. Y'all know how silly I am. But I thought I'd give that information. Very important information. As I said, I'm available to do seminars on it. I feel I'm very versed in it because of my insurance training, because, again, I wanted my family to be prepared. And also remember, when you die, your family's already destroyed. Why put a double burden on them by having them look for insurance policies and stuff? This is just practical information. This is the host, Harry Paden. Now, sometimes people think, I'm not going to watch, I'm going to support Harry Paden. But you're not hurting Harry Paden. This information people pay for. I have receipts. This information is vital. Let's get ourselves together. Hopefully it helped you. To God be the glory.